if you have ChatGPT that gives you all these answers, and it's answers from everyone who has ever used a system, and it's accumulated knowledge, it may not be the best thing for you,
Right.
and most people aren't even thinking about, okay, you know what, it's a great idea. Is it the best for my personality type? Am I strong enough to take on what it's asking me to do? And will I like the results of the action that I put in place? So, I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of guardrails that I think they're not thinking about, as it pertains to using AI, that aren't even spoken about, right? It's not
Right.
until they fall down the well, they're like, oops. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. On today's podcast, we have David Forster with us. David, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yeah. I'm a farm kid from the Midwest in Kansas. Grew up on a cattle farm, loved playing in the dirt and riding dirt bikes. And so I ended up in the landscape industry for the first many years of my life, first couple of decades. I've had 3 landscape businesses over the years, 2 of which I've built and sold. All in all, we're on business number 9 right now. We've sold 4. We've, rolled up in a couple different opportunities on the other ones, but so 9 businesses, 4 exits. I am currently the COO of Taussig Landscape. So in my 4th landscape industry position. I love the dirt. I love working with my hands and building and creating. So, and then from all of that experience, I just love serving and helping other business owners to avoid the pitfalls and the traps that I ran myself into over and over and over again through the years. The most of which was resisting systems, thinking it was going to lock me down and I wasn't going to have the freedom that I wanted. Until I finally realized that was actually the key to unlock the cage and give me the freedom I was actually looking for. So,
Wow. I love it. Oh my God, there's so much to unpack. Okay.
yeah.
The first thing, right? Systems. Did you hire first? And well, let me start with that. So,
Yeah.
as you're scaling your business, did you take on more employees to solve the issue of not having the right systems in the business?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought hiring the right person was going to solve the problem. And I thought scaling meant more people and more trucks and all the things in the beginning, right? I did all of the just work harder, do whatever it takes, chasing all the things I thought were right.
Ooh. And was it like hiring someone to come into the business to say, hey, listen, this is not really what you need? Like, how did you identify that you really needed systems?
After a lot of turnover and disappointment and my recruiting efforts failing over and over because I would cast great vision, but somehow the next level team that I needed to build didn't see the stability. And so they never actually accepted any of the offers that I made at a certain season of business, right? And I started to realize it wasn't that they didn't love the vision, that they couldn't see themselves there. It's that they didn't see any consistency and stability in what was happening for them to feel safe taking that risk to step onto the team. And that's when I realized, like, as owners, a lot of times we get stuck in the mindset that we're taking all the risk, and so we deserve all the reward. And I realized, like, yeah, these guys are high level guys and they have families to support too. And if I want to have a high performing team, like, they're taking a risk believing that I am going to be able to provide opportunity that's going to be enough for them to support their own life, right? Is my dream big enough for their dream to fit inside of it? And so that's why I really had to start evaluating myself as a leader and, like, okay, I have all this stuff. I know where we're going. I can see it. I know how to do it. It's all in my head. How do I fix that? And that's when I started to realize, oh, these systems that people talk about, like, oh, that makes sense. I can get it out of my head and document it, and then other people can use it without me having to be there all the time. Like that sounds like maybe that isn't so bad.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And okay, so when you realized that you essentially were the bottleneck in your growth,
Yeah.
like what shifted for you after, like what shifted for you in that whole process that made you say, you know what, I'm going to step out of my own way to scale and like have the confidence to do it?
Everything, right? The morale of the team that I had at the time. We had a bike shop at the time that this really started to shift for me. A bicycle shop, retail and service, and so I started working with my team there and developing just the simple stuff, the checklists of what needs to get done today. That if it doesn't happen, everything falls apart. Right? As long as we get these simple things done, we're going to open the doors again tomorrow. Like totally fine. Okay. So we just created a checklist and we assigned each of those tasks to who was best fit for those things. And it just, then we started to compound like, oh, okay, well, each of those things kind of has its own process. Like, so if you're going to do a tune up on a bicycle, we should create a checklist for that. And then it's so much easier to train and onboard like, oh,
Yeah.
and that just kind of started to snowball into realizing like how to simplify those things, not overcomplicate, not over systemize, and how to automate a lot of things that were so repetitive that it didn't need our hands touching it. As AI has gotten stronger, that's becoming even better. And that's when it shifted and how it shifted. Today, it just looks very
Totally.
different. It's just trying to stick to the like, keep it simple. Like it's all about the basics. It's the boring, mundane. You know, do you have an org chart that reflects where you're going, not where you've been? Do you have clear role descriptions and responsibilities that your team can understand what they are expected to do? And do you have a scorecard so they know if they're winning? Like, if you have that, you're so far ahead of 90% of most small businesses. Then
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like we have an AI automation business and companies come to us and they're like, hey, listen, I would love to implement this system, but then they don't have a system to implement. So 90% of the businesses we come in contact with don't even know they don't have a system, which is wild.
Yeah, they have a thing going in their head,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But it's never really been like,
Correct.
if you ask them to document it or like explain it, it's like, oh, well, I mean, we just like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah.
And I want to dive into that, right? So from having it in your head to having some systems in place, how fast did that enable you to scale once you did?
You know, the first time it wasn't like lightning fast, right? We had to go through some iterations. I don't want to make this wild promise that like once you got these things in place, you know, boom, it's like now you can do whatever you want. You still have to be involved and making sure that your communication is actually what you thought it was. And you could even create a simple system around that, right? Like I always ask all of my team now, it was really hard for me over the years, but repeat back to me what you heard me say.
Wow. Okay.
Because a lot of times what I'm saying isn't what I think I'm saying, right? And so just that simple little thing has cleared up a lot of confusion over the years. Because I might be explaining something and they're hearing me say something I like totally different that I'm like, how'd you even get that?
Yeah. Because you have 50 million things on your mind.
Right. Yeah. And you might get lost in the middle of it because you start thinking about two other tasks that are now running late and you kind of skip a couple parts and you don't realize you did. Well, I thought I told you that. Well, so that's, you know, it starts a little bit slower until you get some iterations. You try a few things. It's a living document. It's going to grow with you. And so it's not just build a system and then step back and let it go. It's, you know, build the system, let it run, watch it, adjust some things, you know, make it do its thing, see where it failed, make some adjustments, ask the team for their feedback. Where is it making their life easier? Where is it making their life harder? And then just continuing to stay adaptable to what is changing around you in the business world as well. So,
Oh, yeah. And that is huge too, right?
yeah.
So technology is changing a lot, very rapidly. How are you finding that you're adapting to that?
Um, and so I work a lot in the trades, right? I'm in the landscape industry. Most of my clients are in some sort of trade, whether it's, HVAC or excavating or another landscape company. And so there's a lot more resistance there in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of industries. But at the same time, it's the younger generation that's coming through is much more adaptable and acceptable to it, open to using it. And so it's, once you have a system and you understand really what works with human hands,
Mm-hmm.
and then you identify like, why are we doing this 100 times a day when
Mm-hmm.
it does not impact our customer facing interaction? It doesn't impact our culture building with our team. It's literally just a thing that happens.
Right.
And we could do it 100 times faster if we just automated it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So those tools are making their way in much quicker than some of the customer facing side of things that are still, I'm excited about them. But like, I'm trying to think of a good example for you. Scheduling is one that we're working on right now, trying to integrate once a designer schedules a job, how do we then just streamline the material ordering, the inventory adjustment, and the scheduling for what crew is going to do it and when do they have an opening on the schedule. Like those are all very simple things that are still kind of at that
That peak.
integration coming together kind of point on a lot of
Mm-hmm.
softwares. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a great place to start scheduling and tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, awesome. Awesome.
I'm sure
And
you could walk right in the door and tell us like, here's exactly where you can plug
yeah,
this in. Use this
listen,
tool and not that one. Like,
I'm literally having one of those moments that you speak about where I'm like in the middle of the interview and I'm like, oh yeah, but I know exactly what to tell you. Right. So like in the middle of having that, I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
yeah,
Right. It's one of those things that we always wrestle with, right? Is that you have so many different things and you're running for you 9 different iterations of businesses,
yeah.
right? How do you stay on track? What are you using now? What tool are you using now?
So with the landscape company, we're testing out a couple things. We use EOS as a guide for our like operating on
Mm,
the EOS operating system. So we my partner and I, he's a visionary and I'm the integrator. I do the system size and he
mm,
does the vision casting and the forward building stuff, and then we try to bring those together, right?
mhm.
And so 90.io is one that's pretty standard as far as like our tracking and our workflow stuff that we're trying out. And that's what I'm also using for my consulting side. So I can plug in clients and lots of different things there. We've also tried, there's a brand new little one, not little, I shouldn't say it that way, but a newer one out called Monster Ops that's very simplified and has a free version for like, if you only have like 5 or 10 leader seats that need to be in it. And so we're testing that out for some smaller clients that has the ability to integrate with some things, and it will run your weekly meetings, track your scorecards, help you with your org chart and core values and things like that.
Wow. And have you been using Chat GPT and how do you use
Oh,
it?
yes. On a simple level, yes. Chat GPT, honestly, Claude has like
Yeah, change the game.
come out of
Yes.
left field and like
Yeah.
really performing strong. And I don't want to call myself a prompt artist or anything, but that's where I really focused my efforts in the beginning of using those, was understanding that those tools are great, even if you just want to use them as your new search engine. But the
Mm-hmm.
real power there is understanding how to prompt, understanding how to get it to do what you want instead of
Right.
getting frustrated. Um,
Right.
and setting those things up. So I even got a prompt from a colleague of mine that took everything out of my Chat GPT and transferred it in that long over to Claude. And it's amazing the performance there. Claude Code is
Oh, oh yeah. It's
Manus is a new one.
insane,
Yeah.
But quick story, right?
Yeah.
So, everybody's, well, not everybody, a lot of people are going into Cloud Code. And in my whole process or journey of becoming the better version of myself by implementing more systems,
Yeah.
learning more, came mentorship.
Yeah.
So in one of the groups that I'm in, we were going through a deep dive, and someone in there put in the wrong prompt, and it wiped her entire, literally, Cloud Code wiped her entire system, everything she's worked on for 2 years. So,
No.
that being said, when I saw that, I was like, note to self, you have to be very careful if you don't understand the coding, the prompting, not to do that.
Yeah.
And it's an area that we're stepping into now, as people being able to go from no code, low code to this system where we're now saying to AI, hey, listen, we're going to now tell you exactly what to do. But that saying, garbage in, garbage out?
Yeah.
It's also the same when you speak to software. If you're
Yep.
not telling it the right thing,
Yep.
you could possibly end up with a result that you don't want.
Yeah. And you can, a lot of people are getting familiar with, everybody's calling Chat GPT a yes man, right?
Right.
And
Right. But a lot of people don't know that though.
true. Yeah. And it's so encouraging and so empowering. And you put in an idea and it's like, man, you are so good at this. You're amazing. This is a great idea. You should go for this. And then you just go tackle something and you're like, wow, that fell on its face. What just happened? And
Yep.
Understanding also then how to filter that for truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also how to prompt the system. A lot of people are working on prompting so that it doesn't do that. Hey, tell me 10 reasons why this won't work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Put in
your
guardrail.
follow-up prompt. Hey, this is a great idea. You should do this. Da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, awesome. That's great. So what are 10 reasons why this won't work? What are, the 5 best arguments that I'm going to come up against when I present this? Whether you're presenting something to your team or to your boss or to a client, like having those like iron sharpens iron moments in the system is still very valuable.
Absolutely. And that is where human connection, I think people are losing sight of it, right?
Right.
If you have ChatGPT that gives you all these answers, and it's answers from everyone who has ever used the system, and it's accumulated knowledge, it may not be the best thing for you.
Right.
And most people aren't even thinking about, okay, you know what? It's a great idea. Is it the best for my personality type? Am I strong enough to take on what it's asking me to do? And will I like the results of the action that I put in place? So, I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of guardrails that I think they're not thinking about, as it pertains to using AI, that aren't even spoken about, right? It's not
Right.
until they fall down the well, they're like, oops.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. So now let me ask you, okay, so you're out there, you're implementing the systems, you're using AI. How are you using it as your biggest leverage right now in order to get you from point A to point B?
I think right now it's the automation of the multi-touch things, right? Like I said, if it's not customer facing and it can speed us up, we've just found the ability to move through the workflow just so much faster and so much more accurately. And so it's not only speeding us up on the front end, but then we're realizing like the human errors from us thinking we know better, but also working in a fully distracted world, right?
Right.
And so these tools, they don't get distracted. They don't have emotion. They don't have sick days. Like, I mean, maybe the system goes down every now and then. You could call that a sick day, whatever, or a glitch or something. But it's going to work. at the
Mm-hmm.
speed that it always works and however you set it up, right? So if there's an issue, it's probably in the setup, in the prompt, in the commands.
Mm-hmm.
And so it speeds us up on the front end, but we're only still just figuring out all the ways and benefits of the lack of error, the cleaner delivery that is keeping us from having to go back and find issues that we now have to go in and fix, whether it's an inventory issue or a communication issue on something for a project. It's not, you're just not going to forget all the same things because you've automated the things that need to flow through it.
Mm-hmm.
Easy as the checklists, right? Like as long as those things are checked off and it's delivered through the system, there's not as much of an issue with accountability,
Right.
with consistency. So then there's less callbacks. It's easier to figure out where you need to train so you can focus your training and not be wasting your time training on something that you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it just speeds all of that up.
Oh, wow. Wow. And how is your team adapting to it?
Varying at varying speeds. I would say the field guys tend to be a little more not reluctant or resistant, but they don't see
The benefit.
the impact and like the utilization as quickly because they're out there using machines, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, which on a whole nother side, like it's interesting seeing this younger generation of equipment operators because they're gamers. And so they're totally cool with technology, but now they're sitting in like a real life simulator using these things. And so they can operate these machines so much better than we ever could, especially
Wow.
with how high tech they've gotten inside. And so all the joysticks on an excavator with all the commit, like they're just used to moving their hands like this. Anyway, that side's super
Wow.
fun watching these like 21, 22-year-old kids, in my eyes,
Wow.
operating these things like way better than I ever could. So that there's a little light at the end of the tunnel for anybody that thinks that the next generation of tradespeople is like doesn't want to do that. No, they're amazing. You just got to give them the right tools and train them the
Mm-hmm.
right way, give them the right clarity of where they're going. And AI is going to play a huge part in that. Autonomous mowers are already making a huge impact. And so the field guys are seeing the tools starting to automate. And some of them are resistant to it. Some of them are totally embracing it. And they're like, this is going to be awesome. I can sit in the office and drive an excavator 20 miles away through, an automated machine. Like, that's great.
Wow.
But most of the stuff we're using today with just the day-to-day workflow automation, our leadership team is really open to it. Everybody has started to utilize ChatGPT, Claude, whichever one they feel more comfortable with. Derek and I both use it on a regular basis, so that has created the culture of it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to take your job.
Right.
You can use
Right.
it as a tool within your job. And my mentor has told his entire team 90% of your job should be done by AI within the
Mm-hmm.
next year.
Yeah. Has to be.
Right. Like, so I'm not going to fire you because you don't have anything left to do. No, I want you to automate the majority of your tasks and operate on the top 10%.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're starting to not just dive into that, but implement that at a level so that our managers and our leaders understand how to use the tools properly and then what parts of their roles we can start to do that with.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's like not understanding that it not just makes your life easier, but knowing how to use the tool makes you more valuable in the marketplace because not everyone is actually embracing it or using it,
Right.
right? And it's kind of sad because the adoption of technology, as we've seen in history, if you don't adapt, you die, right? So, for example, the example would be like Blockbuster, Netflix,
Yeah.
right? Or any of those,
Polaroid.
right? Polaroid, right? You have such great companies, but they just are afraid to adapt, or they think that change won't last, or they think that we're gonna come back to we're not ever going to be in the same place twice in terms of where technology is right now. So adapting is always the best thing. So you're staying ahead, you're staying involved. and you're kind of adapting your role to this new version of what your role is going to look like, and
Yeah.
not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. That fear of, like you said, that you're either going to lose your job versus understanding it adds value to you
Absolutely.
to be able to, especially just in this transitional phase of the technology, because like you said, not as many people are doing it. And even the owners or the founders that are wanting it, they understand that their time is not best spent learning all of it. Their
Mm-hmm.
best time is spent recruiting the people who are learning it and who are using it. And so the best companies out there are wanting to hire the people that are using it and using it appropriately and quickly, so
Mm-hmm.
that they'll pay you the money to potentially, if it's going to take jobs, it's going to be in the fact that one person can now do the same as three or four.
Right.
They use it properly, which
Correct.
opens up then more profitability for the company, but also tremendously more profitability for the employee. If you're sitting in 3 seats,
Mm-hmm.
the available funds for that salary are considerably different. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's an interesting world.
Right. Right. I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
if you had to go back and give yourself some advice, what advice would you give, and what tool would you give yourself?
Oh, well, the advice would be unlock that cage way sooner. Because the thinking that freedom was what I wanted, but leaving myself locked in a cage of my own control, right,
Mm.
was once I realized that delegation and systems, clear systems, was like reaching around with the key and unlocking and opening the door. Like,
Wow.
here's what I was looking for. So had I known that and not been so stubborn, right, that would have been great. Um, but the tool I would give myself, there's so many available now. It's hard to filter through. I mean, honestly, let's call delegation a tool. Like, if I had learned to delegate sooner, the I don't even want to, like, the difference in the financial parts of business, the difference in the scale of the businesses once we had sold them. Would we have sold them? Like, I don't know. But the biggest thing that resonates with me when I think about it is I'm not a super money motivated guy. I love building community. I love impact. I love mentoring people who are hungry to be better, and realizing like how many more lives I could have impacted had I started the ripple effect sooner, and understanding how to delegate properly. Um, it fires me up. I kind of like, I have to keep myself from going, oh, all those, like, I missed my calling, right? But I didn't. This is the journey that I'm on. And now it's just that much more motivating to me to make sure that I am delegating the right things, that I'm delegating them clearly. And that's not to benefit me, but it's to empower everyone else and not hold it all to myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Okay. So now you're delegating, and you have all this knowledge on how to build a company, how to scale a company, how to sell a company. When you got to the point where you're saying, okay, I need to sell this company, or I want to sell this company, did you have to go back into that original business and restructure the entire thing, implement systems into that entire thing in order to get to the point to sell it? Like, what did that process look like?
So each one was a little bit different. I would say the first one, no, it was a handshake. It was a contract, but it was another operator in the area that just wanted to take over our customer books and our customer base and our team, and just kind of absorb us to grow his current operations. And so that was more just operator to operator. He was going to implement his own way of doing things mostly anyway.
Okay.
And that was my first. That was my first like real business sale. I think we had done a couple before that were actually, I don't even consider them exits. They were just like little deals amongst colleagues, right? But as they progressed and we did another one, I realized from the first one that had I had systems,
Yeah.
my marriage would have been in a better place. We won't even go down that road right now, but Here we are 15 years later, and we've almost worked exclusively together, operating businesses together, my wife and I, for almost 18 years now. So there's a really cool story in like how systems actually will benefit your marriage, and just that. But
can we jump into that? Let me let you finish.
Yeah, but as the second and the third and then the fourth, like each one, I had implemented better and more systems, and was able to process through the acquisition or the sale much more smoothly. There was less chaos in the like trying to answer questions. It was all just kind of there. So I wouldn't say of any of them that I went back and like wrapped things up in order to sell. But I realized in that process, like had I done more, then it would have gone better. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna just pass over what you said. So I need to dive into what you said. How did it make your relationship better?
Yeah. So the first business that we did together, which was actually my second, actually our second business together, but it was our first one that actually scaled well. But it was my second landscape business. We were growing really well. We had a few crews running. We were making decent money for 25-year-old kids at the time. And I had asked her to quit her full-time job and come work with me. And she was basically an office administrator for a large construction company. And she was like amazing, and they loved her. And I was like, I need that for us now, because we're kind of at that point. I would rather work with you than pay somebody else. And so she came and she was doing that. And we're about 3.5 years in on the business. And I had a dream in the winter that kind of rocked me. And I was like, the dream was that we were supposed to sell the business. And I'm like, no, like I'm loving this. Like we're growing. The customers love us. Our reviews are great. This was back in like 2011, and we were, with very little effort, we're top of the Google rankings in the area. Just a different world then, right? It's happened fast. But so everything was great in my eyes, as far as like that part went. But on the marriage side, like I still remember many nights just laying in bed awake, listening to my wife cry, and I had no idea how to fix it. Wow. And I had no idea what I was doing wrong, other than I was just not doing something right. And she was miserable, and I just hadn't connected the two, right? So I had this dream, and I told her, hey, I think we may be supposed to sell the business. And like the weight that visibly came off of her in that moment, like, but she goes, oh, she's like, okay, good. Like I had that dream about a month ago or a couple weeks ago. And I literally just told God, I'm not telling him, you got to tell him. She's like, this is your baby. I'm not saying nothing. Like she had that vision or a dream or whatever she had that kind of told her like, I think it's time to move on from this, but she didn't want to bring it up. And so that was adding tension. Right. And so we both were relieved at the time that we were in agreement. And we went through the details and looked through what that looked like. And once we sold it, genius me thought that I was going to move on and start another company immediately with any funds we had left. And God had a different idea, which was much better. So we took some time off from business for that summer. We took a vacation for the first time together. Instead of sitting on the couch talking about business at 9:00 at night, her wanting to just be together and talk, and me wanting to business strategize with my office partner.
Right.
For the beginning of our marriage, right? We started the business 3 weeks before we got married. And so it was from day one, no real newlywed season. So that's when I realized, okay, whatever we do next, I can't take it home with me. Like there has to be a separation. There has to be some systems in place. There has to be some delegation. And I did all those things wrong at first and in the next business, and just, still made tons of mistakes, and it was fine. But she saw me trying, and she trusted me, and she wanted to do that with me again and build it together. And now, so we've done, I think 7 or 8 together now. As we've moved through the years, we've got 2 beautiful kids that we've now been able to have. And it's been the best partnership that I could have asked for.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That
She's
is
my
so
secret
cool.
weapon for sure.
That is awesome. I love that story. Oh man. Oh
Yeah.
man. But you're right. You're right. There has to definitely be separation and some sort of strategy to be able to free time to be able to spend time with family, because as a business owner you tend to just want to always be working, to solve problems, put out fires, to always fix things.
Yeah.
So without that kind of systems, and I mean, I'm totally there with you. Like my first business, I would say collapsed because of lack of systems, and it was through that I learned about systems. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, I see so many entrepreneurs, it's just kind of a side note, but like you said, the first one collapsed because of lack of systems. And it, you, you get to a certain point, everybody's a little different how far they can go with just straight muscling it, right?
mm-hmm,
How much can you carry
mm-hmm,
before you either just give up or burn out or whatever you want
mm-hmm,
to call it?
mm-hmm.
But I see, especially in the contracting space, like that good old boy, grit it out, do whatever it takes, work hard, work
Mm-hmm.
harder mentality.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys get a long way, right? I mean, they get to $1 million or $2 million a year in revenue in a contracting business, and that's when they just kind of get to that point of like, oh, like,
Yeah,
is this it? Like, this is
yeah.
what life's going to be like. And some people are good, and that's just the lifestyle they choose, and they do it, right? But um, that's not what I was looking
No,
for my family and for myself. So
I mean
sounds like you're the
that
same.
yeah, it's a hard pill, because now you're saying the more you take on is the more phone calls you're answering, the more pressure is on you, the more employees you have. It's like a never ending cycle by not knowing what you don't know, right? So you
Yeah,
think that you have to be this person to shoulder all of it, but you're right, delegating and having the right people to delegate to, right? So
right.
I don't want to skip over that. Having the right partnership and the right people to delegate to
Yeah,
is equally as important as having the right systems.
yeah. And to add to that, you might have the right people and you don't realize it because you don't have any systems in place for them to shine, right?
Mm,
You might think, why can't I find anybody? Why are these guys always blah, 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 blah? And it's like, well, it's the best high performers aren't looking to come to you and ask you for direction every day. They want barriers of like operate with some freedom in between here, right? This is where we're going. Here's some direction on the outcome that I'm looking for.
mm-hmm,
Here's some direction along the way, but they don't want to have to wait for your micromanagement on this is
mm-hmm,
exactly how it needs to get done, right?
mm-hmm.
So then they just end up moving on somewhere else and you think, oh, there was so much potential there, they just dropped the ball, and it's really you did, like you didn't
Yeah.
give them the environment to shine in, um, give them the playbook to know how to get down the field, like whatever, however you want to give the analogy.
So
So
true.
yeah.
It's so true. Ah, man, I love this conversation. I mean, I really feel like it's one of those that I often was looking for when I was running my business. Just real talk about real business
Yeah.
in the real world, you
Yeah.
know, things that you can apply. And, speaking about applying, like, what are some of the best things that you feel can be applied to a business to help a business actually like grow? Not necessarily like software, but
Right.
like,
Kind of like I mentioned earlier, I mean, it's the boring, mundane stuff, right?
mhm,
There's a lot of influencers out in today's world that will say the same thing. Like, I guess I shouldn't say there's a lot. There's a lot of influencers that say a lot of fluffy stuff.
correct,
There's a few guys that are being real and being honest and letting you know, like, it's going to take longer than you want it to.
correct.
If it's worth it, it's worth it, right? Anything that's worth it is worth the wait.
Hmm.
And the simple things that you get bored with as an entrepreneur because you want variety, you want to move fast, you want to do these things, you want to scale. the simple things that you were okay with in the first year, right? Like connecting with people and just your first year, you were probably making a lot of connections, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, and you were just doing the basics around casting vision, trying to understand where you're going, reverse engineering a lot of things. So the basics of really having an org chart, depending on the type of business you have,
Right.
it will be different, right? But if you look at, okay, where do I want the business to be in 5 years, and what has to be true for the business to get there, who has to be in place, and what are they going to be doing, right? And build the org chart for that, and then reverse engineer, okay, well, who do I have right now, and what seat are they sitting in right now? How many of those seats am I sitting in right now? And that has helped us really identify, instead of building an org chart and building positions for who we have and what they're good at, we build, what does a $10 million landscape company look like?
Wow.
What's the benchmark? What is the industry standard? What are the positions? What is the structure? What are the results that are needed in each of those areas? Okay, now here's our team today. Who has the ability to fill those seats right now, and how many of those seats are each of them filling currently? And then how do we, then that shapes our recruiting, that shapes a lot of different things, right? It gives the team clarity on where the opportunity is at for them to advance, gives them a career path, shows them what's going on in your head, shows them who to communicate with first, and instead of all the confusion of, well, I thought you, and I thought he was gonna, and so really the org chart and the role clarity it never gets less important. It gets more important along the way.
I like that you clearly identify that you need to know exactly where you're going in order for you to be able to get there.
Yeah. If I said I want to go to New York City, everybody knows the skyline. Yeah, let's go to New York City. That's exciting. Cool. How are we going to get there? East or west? Is it north or south? Is it it depends on where you're at, right? If you're in California, it's a whole different trip than Florida. It's, you have to know, what exits are we taking? Are there any road closures along the way? When do we need to fill up with fuel? How many people can we fit in the vehicle right now? Do we need to run something
Yep. Logistics. And
all the things. Yeah.
And it goes right back to where we spoke about from the beginning, clarity. If you literally don't have clarity, there's no way that you're going to get from point A. I mean, you could stumble upon it, I guess, but really and truly, it's a much harder path.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a much harder path.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being on our show today. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our audience with today, and how can they find you and reach out to you?
Yeah. Just one thing I'm really passionate about, especially in the trades, and it makes really a lot of sense in the trades, is it might be a little bit of a contrarian mindset, but we don't have a labor shortage. We have a leadership shortage.
Wow.
And I think that spreads into all industries in some way or another. Yes, it is hard to find qualified individuals to fill positions, right? But that is because leadership has been lacking for decades, right? So it's not a, hey, let's just fix this and it'll be ready tomorrow. And all these, the next generation will be ready to fill these types of positions. We just have to start becoming the leaders that are painting that clear path for the next generation. And then it won't be nearly the struggle to find them, because they'll want the opportunity. Right now, especially in the trades, and all most of us saw in our youth was that if we actually wanted success, we had to do it ourselves. Our generation was like, well, I'm either going to be beat up and barely able to walk by the time I'm 50 from doing labor my whole life, or I have to own the company so that I can dress nice and drive a nice truck and do all the things I want to do, right? And it's not true. And there's so much more opportunity if we shape it properly. And so that's been a big part of why systems have been a passion of mine. And like I said, I like impact. I like providing opportunity and impacting people. And so providing those open doors for a better path.
Right.
So if for the listeners, like if you're struggling with finding qualified people, like it's a hard question to ask. And I've had to do it over and over, but look in the mirror and say, why don't they want to work with me?
Whoa.
And so when you get done listening here, go look in the mirror and say, why would somebody want to work with me? What are the things that I provide? And if that list isn't long enough, then start working on it. Start building that list and be a better leader that people just can't resist coming for the opportunity that you provide. And if you want help with that, that's my life's passion, right? So official David Forster is my Instagram handle, at official David Forster. You can follow me there for a lot of the quick how-tos and mindset stuff that I share there. You can go to systemsoversweat.com and see some of the ways that we can work together, and send me a DM on Instagram. I'm happy to chat. It's really my thumbs doing. We have some AI stuff. I have an assistant because if you don't have one, you're just overpaid and you suck at your job. But I would love to just see what direction I can give and point. I love it.
Awesome. David, thank you so much for joining us today. It was insightful. And for all our listeners,
Likewise.
I will definitely put the handles down below in our YouTube video, so you can check it out there. David, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.